The United States has always been a work in progress, and the judicial system is the main way that we can forward ourselves as a country. Here are our top 5 laws that shaped America. Number 5. The Airline Deregulation Act. Imagine a world where CAB, or Civil Aeronautics Board, still had tight regulations over airlines. Well, you can't. This is because when the Airline Deregulation Act was signed in 1978, it dismantled the grasp that the CAB had over airlines. The way that this shaped America meant that airlines didn't have to only be allowed to fly specific routes or only have airplane tickets that had set prices by the government. Although there weren't specific court cases that interpreted this law, there were hearings that were held before it passed in Congress. The result of this would be that CAB would be dismantled, but the FAA would be introduced, mainly focusing on airline safety. Number 4. The Defense Marriage Act. Ever heard of what DOMA is? This act created by those against gay marriage pushed to limit the same benefits that heterosexual couples get. This would lead the country to continue to push against homosexual partnerships since now it was legal to do so. DOMA would stay in effect until 2012 when the case of United States v. Windsor. It would shoot down Section 3, allowing homosexual couples to get the same marriage benefits as heterosexual couples. But it wouldn't be until 5 years later with Obergel v. Hodges in 2015, which guaranteed rights to gay marriage and equality under sexuality using arguments supported by Due Process Clause and Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment. While the original DOMA was a step back for the LGBTQ community, it led to resistance that later helped make strides towards equal rights. Number 3. The Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. All kids deserve the right to healthy food in school, but did you know that it wouldn't be until 2010 when the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act would be passed, allowing lunches at school to be regulated to keep up with new nutrition standards? The main purpose for this was to help decrease childhood obesity. The result of this is that nowadays, kids are eating up to 16% more vegetables and 23% more fruits at lunch. And according to healthaffairs.org, if this act hadn't been passed, childhood obesity would be 47% higher by 2018. Although there was no specific cases tied to this act, it was a part of Michelle Obama's push to update federal nutrition standards. As a result, this act would increase access to healthier foods for those in poverty, therefore decreasing the amount of unhealthy food that their kids would be eating otherwise in school. Number 2. The Equality Act. The Equality Act was a bill passed by Congress back in 2010. It prohibits the discrimination on the basis of sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. The Equality Act was made as a way to combat the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and add the prevention of discrimination on the basis of sexuality and gender identity. It shaped America by helping support equal rights and create more equity in America. The results were that more rights for same-sex couples, and it was a road to opening up more rights for other members of the LGBTQ community. Number 1. The Americans with Disabilities Act. In short, the Americans with Disabilities Act made it so that it was illegal to discriminate against Americans with disabilities. This included discrimination within local and federal governments, as well as discriminations within businesses. The way this shaped America was that the ADA prohibits discrimination and creates equal opportunity for those with disabilities when looking for a job. It also ensures that they have equal access to government service, public accommodations, commercial facilities, and even transportation. It created more equality within America, pushing forward to help those who were at a disadvantage. In E. Sutton versus United Airlines, there were 2 people who applied to work as pilots, but were nearsighted. This case argued whether it was right for them to be labeled as disabled, and whether or not they should be allowed to become airplane pilots despite that. This act has caused many changes within America. It's made so that there is supposedly more equality, but it also has raised many debates about what counts as disabled, and whether it's safe for certain people to work certain jobs.